Hey everyone, welcome back to Insight Arena. Today we're diving into a hot topic. Can India become the next global manufacturing giant? Buckle up because we're about to take a wild ride from Jugaad to Jagdfieber for success. For my English viewers who are not familiar with these two words, Jugaad comes from the Indian language of Hindi, which translates to frugal innovation, and Jagdfieber comes from the German language, which translates to hunting, or you can say having the hunting fever. So what we would be discussing today is how India can go from mere frugal innovation to hunting for success in its quest to become the next global manufacturing giant. Let's face it, friends, India is the king of Jugaad. There is absolutely nothing that we cannot fix with a rubber band and a prayer. But is that enough to compete with the German mittelstand? You know, those super specialized, high quality manufacturing ninjas. Don't get me wrong here, my friends. Germany has got their game on point. But here's the thing. India has some serious potential. We have a massive young workforce and the hunger to succeed is unreal. So can we channel that Desi Jugaad spirit into something that is truly world class? Jugaad versus Jagdfieber, the problem. Let's be honest, Jugaad has its limitation. It's great for temporary solutions, but that is not something what global companies are looking for. We have to embrace that German Jagdfieber, that relentless pursuit for quality and precision. India is the fifth largest economy of the world. The current government is promising to beat Germany to make India the third largest economy of the world. It is not an impossible task, but as I said, India would have to inculcate that hunter instinct, that Jagdfieber that I speak of. I hate to break it to you that we are far away from Germany in this regards. While the unemployment rate in India stands at 88.1%, the unemployment rate in Germany stands at 3.6%, which is one of the lowest in the world. While our per capita income stands at $2,730, the German per capita income stands at $54,000. And most importantly, in spite of having 16 times less population compared to India, India's exports stood at $46 billion in 2022, while the German exports stood at 1.6 trillion in 2022. So if you see, even though it might seem that our economy is growing at a staggering rate in terms of the GDP indicator, we are far behind in these three areas of export, employment, and even per capita income. These three indicators and areas we need to work more. It's not enough. And since India is on its path to become the third largest economy of the world, as citizens of India, our benchmark to judge the current government in power or the other governments that might come to power shouldn't be by comparing them to the opposition parties in power or with Pakistan, but should be with these legendary countries like Germany, Finland, USA, China, and more importantly, as citizens of this great nation, it is our prime responsibility to hold the government responsible in these three benchmarks, that is increase in exports, increase in employment, and increase in per capita income. The question is, how do we bridge these gaps? Here is the three-pronged attack that India needs to launch. The first attack should be on skilling up, from bookworms to badass builders. Our education system is churning out textbook geniuses, but not enough workshop wizards. We need to get our hands dirty. Industry and academia partnerships, apprenticeships, practical training, that is the name of the game. Let me help you understand the vast difference between Indian engineering and German engineering education. In India, engineering universities, the students are supposed to submit, say, a B project in their 4th year. That is to say, the student has to study 40 subjects in 4 years and then choose one subject that they wish to specialize in. So they have to apply that knowledge in solving real-world problems. Like for example, in India, there's a dying need for an efficient waste management system. So ideally, a group of 4 engineering students are supposed to spend the entire 4th year and collaborate with each other under the guidance of one professor who will help them into their research and in solving a real world problem. Which is to say, they are supposed to visit waste management plants, talk to businesses and figure out gaps in the market. Then design different solutions and apply the solutions to only fail to create a better waste management system for India. And at the end of the year, they are supposed to submit a 100 pages thesis, which is supposed to consist of detailed analysis, experiments, and a proposal for a new solution to the waste management problem of India. So this way, Indian engineers are supposed to apply their knowledge to become better problem solvers. But do you know what happens in our engineering colleges? Firstly, the professors are incompetent because they themselves have never really solved a real world problem. Secondly, the students are so overburdened with different assignments and an outdated syllabus that they're busy copy-pasting useless information from one file to the other. And thirdly, because of the compulsory 75% mandatory attendance on lectures, students don't get the time to go for site visits. So do you know what they do? They busy copy-paste available engineering research papers that are available over the internet, and they compile them, file it, and then they submit it to the university. And because the professor is incompetent, lazy, and ignorant, all she does is drops a sign at the bottom and passes the candidate. And if she holds a grudge against a particular student, then they might scrutinize the assignment further, torture the candidate a little bit until they are happy, and then pass them. And if you do not want to go through the entire torturous process, then relax. You can actually buy an engineering project for 10,000 rupees. In fact, there are shops that are available that will provide you catalogs of various engineering projects that you could submit to your university. So you just buy it and submit it to the university. So you don't have to solve anything or take the trouble of researching and developing engineering solutions. This is the reason why engineering students in India remain a book with no practical skills at all. In fact, according to the Skill India report of 2024, the most recent one, 35% of our BTech students were unemployable. 30% of our MBA students were unemployable. 75% of our polytechnic students were unemployable. Now, hold on, mind you, I am not talking about unemployed students. These are unemployable students, which means even if they are offered a job, they cannot take it because they do not have the skills for the job. But do you know what happens in Germany? German universities have established a robust partnership with industries across the country. And these are not just about internships of job placement. These are integration of deep academic learning with real world challenges. For example, the Technical University of Munich has partnered with companies like BMW, Siemens and Airbus. And these companies actively participate in shaping the curriculum, offering guest lectures, sponsoring research projects and providing the state-of-the-art equipments and facilities to the students. So while Indian engineering students waste their time copy-pasting assignments and studying an outdated syllabus, a German engineering student is acquiring those skills that are much needed in companies like BMW, Siemens and Airbus. Similarly, BMW might put challenges to the engineering students. For example, BMW might challenge engineering students to create a lightweight material for electric vehicle batteries. So the engineering students get to work under the mentorship of both the professors as well as the engineers at BMW. So they get to test, experiment and prototype and apply the knowledge eventually. So while an Indian engineering student is copy-pasting random information from research papers, a German engineering student is building a strong thesis on how to build light material for electric vehicle batteries. So after the project, while an Indian engineer struggles to find a job, a German engineer has already received a job at BMW. And while Indian companies struggle to get good engineering talent, the mittelstand companies have access to a great talent pool because of such collaboration. As a result, Indian companies tend to make mediocre products, while German companies are building world-class products, which eventually leads to better exports and better income for both the German people and the German economy. This is the power of German education system. And if you see how much both Germany and India spend on education, it will blow your mind. Germany, having a $4 trillion economy, spends 4.6% of its GDP on education, while India in this fiscal year 2024 spends around 2.5% of its GDP on education. So do you realize what this means? India has a population of 1.4 billion people, while Germany has a population of 84.4 million people. That's a drastic difference. And if you do the maths, while India is spending around $80.60 per person, Germany is spending around $2,957 per person, which is 26 times that of India. So you tell me guys, in this fast-paced technology-driven world where we have such an incompetent engineering education system and we spend so little on education, how are we going to beat Germany, leave alone China? This is the first reason why Germany is an economic superpower. We need to invest more on education. The second area that we need to attack to be truly world class is to level up our MSMEs from Jugaad to Jagdfieber champions. India's MSME sector is a sleeping giant. We need to empower them with the technology, the funding and mentorship. Imagine millions of little Jagdfieber champions taking the world by storm. One of the most applaudable government policies is Germany's unemployment insurance plan. And this becomes all the more important for India as unemployment has reached dangerous levels. You would have noticed in 2020 when the pandemic had hit, unemployment had skyrocketed everywhere around the world. But the German economy had only experienced a minor bump. Again, in 2022, when the Russia-Ukraine war had started, the German economy was hit so drastically that in 2023, the GDP fell by only 0.2%. Various economic advisors have slashed Germany's economic growth this year to a mere stagnation. Germany is taking a hit mainly because of rising energy bills caused due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But again, if you look at 2023, Italy's unemployment rate stood at 7.5%, France's unemployment rate stood at 7.4%, and Spain's unemployment rate stood at 11.9%. Whereas Germany's, you'll be surprised, it was at a record low of only 3%. So the question is, even during the worst economic recession of the decade, how is the German economy so resilient? Well, this is because of a government policy called the kurzabeit, in which instead of firing workers or having mass layoffs, companies are encouraged to reduce the working hours of the employees and to support the employees during this reduced work hours. The government steps in to provide a significant amount of the lost wages, and this gives the German economy an insane advantage even over the American economy. So let's understand this using an example. Let's say there's a large automobile plant in Wolfsburg which employs 2,000 workers. But because of the global recession, the demand for cars has plummeted by 50%, which forces the plant to reduce its production. Now, while most American companies would just simply lay off 20 to 30% of their workforce, this German plant decides to implement the Kurzarbeit program. What happens is the government approves the application for them to reduce the working hours of all employees to 50%. So now the workers, instead of working for 48 hours a week, would be working for 24 hours a week, for which they would be receiving their full salary. And for the 24 hours of wages which they have lost, the government would compensate 60% of the wages. So for the next 6 months, the company only has to pay 50% of the salary to its employees, while the government compensates for 60% of the lost wages. So if somebody would make 3,000 euros as wages, the employer would have to pay 1,500 euros, while the government chips in and pays 720 euros. So the worker ends up making 2,200 euros compared to the 3,000 that he or she used to make. And this arrangement, my friends, gives 3 superpowers to this MSME ecosystem. Firstly, the jobs of these workers are safe, so the families do not have to live in stress. Secondly, since the workers are receiving a large chunk of their salary, they continue to spend money on their daily needs like groceries, personal care, or other household items. So the money is still flowing through the economy through these FMCG companies, which also helps in retaining the employees. And thirdly, and the most important point, since these companies retain the entire skilled workforce, after 6 months, when the demand for cars suddenly shoots up, the American companies are struggling to hire, train, and deploy new workforce, while the German companies, they ramp up their production because they never let any worker go. So the German factories are always up for production, the German employees are always safe, and the German economy is always booming. This is how the Kurzarbeit program prevents shock to the economy and to the job market even during the times of recession. Now you might argue with me, Ivan, what are you saying? This is like giving away free cash to people. The German government is paying the salaries of millions of people. So you might say, Ivan, are you suggesting that our government pays a certain section of the businesses from other taxpayers' money? No, not at all. This money is coming from the employees and the companies itself. Now, long story short, I'll put it in better perspectives. When you earn 3,000 euros per month, you have to contribute 1.2% of your salary and the employer contributes 1.2% to the kurzabeit fund. And just like any insurance, when you lose your job, you get paid 60% of your wages or your salary by the government. So it is not a freebie. It's an economic masterstroke which keeps the economy running even during the times of recession. This is how, my friends, when you build a robust ecosystem with a great education, a great welfare system, and a great culture of building the highest quality products in the world, Germany has built the most powerful MSME ecosystems in the world. So India too needs to have a sustainable economic model. There's a big difference between a freebie versus a sustainable economic model. A freebie will train your economy, whereas a sustainable economic model will boost your economy. Our third and final area of our attack is to be focused on quality and not jugaadity. That should be the mantra of our Indian success story. The Chinese success story is premised on the prices at which their products come in. They are very affordable indeed, but that comes with compromising on quality, which is why today most of the Chinese products that are in the market get tagged for being inferior in quality. That might not be the case for all Chinese products, but that's the reputation they have built. The Chinese have realized this drawback and have woken up and are now focusing on quality. Big brands are known because of the quality they have to offer. With India's big population and our ability to mass produce, prices shouldn't be our area of focus right now. Let's face it, that Jugaadu price tag won't cut it anymore. We need to focus on building products that last, that people trust. It's about building a reputation of excellence on the world stage. People should look at Make in India as an engineering marvel, the same way most of the world today look at German engineering. This isn't about copying Germany. It's about taking inspiration and forging our own path. We can combine our Jugaadu spirit with German precision and create something unique and powerful. Incentivize the companies that patent their products and their technologies. Make investments into research and development a mandatory feature for all private sectors and government sectors alike. So my friends, what do you think? Can India become a global manufacturing powerhouse? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let's get this conversation started. And if you feel that I have added value to this video, like this video and subscribe for more insightful content on Dovii Forum.